Hello everybody, Dren608 here again with another video on Unconditional Surrender, a replay of a vlog of a game that I just started in the last week. I haven't posted in a while. Thought I would share this with you because I find it instructive for if you're playing the Germans that this can actually happen to you. We are playing with variable entry, so I thought I'd give you a quick overview of how I have that set up. On the turn track, I have marked where the variable entries will be rolled. We also have to roll for the first September turn with the stack of the German units that's there. And on the corner, upper left-hand corner of the map where the turn track normally a lot of people use, is where we have all the stacks of the variable entry counters. So just to give you that way you don't have to worry about, do I have to turn this unit or something to make it know that it's not supposed to be rolled for. The rolled for stacks are all on this space right here, and then once you roll them, you'll just put them on the game turn track. So with that in mind, I'm going to pop up a little feature that I've added for the variable entry. It lets you pick the number of dice, six-sided dice obviously, and you can roll them all at once and then just unstack your units. So without further ado, we'll get started with this. Oh, it doesn't let me do that. Okay. There we go. That was me straightening up some counters here. So I take the stack and I put it on the turn track. And then this little dice roller thing I set up for, there's 8 units in the stack. They're 6-sided dice. So, and there you see my die rolls, 1, 2, 3, 6, 6, 6, 1, 5. So we just go straight down the track, straight down the stack to put them on the turn track. So an infantry to October, an infantry in November, infantry in December, infantry in March, my airplane in March. Surprise attack marker came in 1 turn, and the paradrop came in 4, so or 5 or whatever. So it comes in at in February. And that's kind of how the variable entry works each time you're going to use it. So went into the declaration of war. I declared war on the Western faction, so the Soviets got their 40 willpower. And then I declared war on the Poles. And let's see, we can probably take this off. We went into the economy phase, set the productions. I'm not going to show that. We're using the combined tracks totals here so that, you know, it's just an easy one pop-up. Everybody knows what everybody's got. Germans do a strategic movement. I take the infantry unit that's down here outside of Frankfurt, and I have a terrible time picking them up, and I move them up to the border with Denmark. It's just something I tend to always do when I declare war on the West first, because I'm not worried about the French coming across the border, because they can't leave their fort till West invaded. And then I'm going to scroll over here because the center on your unit doesn't actually center the map. It just jumps to your unit. It's always in the edge. So this is my attack into Poland. The armor moves down a space and then attacks across the river. Start off at 3. I think we're doing the combat commitment at this point. I'll pop that up so you can see us messing with it. We both commit. So he puts out, he grabbed the wrong thing there and then put it out his ground support, and I use my airplane that's just outside of Königsberg. We set the die roll modifiers. I rolled a 9, and he rolled a 6. I rolled a 4 plus 5, so I made a 9. He rolled a 6, plus 1 is a 7, which means he held his ground. Then it was 5 turns is when his marker comes back. So then I have to spend 3 more movement points. Usually I get him to retreat in that first attack, so things are not going well. If I'd have known what was coming, I would have made an excuse and said, let's call this right now and pick it up next week. But I didn't. Onwards we went. Again, I think we're doing combat commitment here. And he chose not to. And I, of course, threw in my airplane again because I really need to make that guy retreat. Now it's 5 plus 2 is a 7. And he rolled a 1, so he got a DD and was retreated. And I just went ahead and moved 1 space. I probably didn't need to do that. What I was trying to do is make sure that Posen here is going to be isolated. If you take the hex and attack this flipped over pole and somehow roll badly, and he would retreat, he could actually retreat next to Posen, and then he wouldn't be isolated anymore. So I chose to make sure that I had the isolation, and that was the end of the Panzers. Next thing up, I moved the 4th Infantry into Danzig for 3. And then 4, 5, and then 6, 7 to attack the flipped over Posen infantry, or flipped over infantry that I got, that I did earlier. We went and did combat commitment. I threw in an airplane, I believe. You'll see that here in a second. Yeah. And then I rolled a 10, and he rolled a 1 minus 2, so he was a 1. That eliminated him and took another will point off of him. And that cost me 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 movement points. So I only had 1 movement point left. And I went ahead and moved adjacent to that. Probably not the right thing to do, but then I have activated the guy southeast of Posen, or southwest of Posen. Took me 3 movement points to attack there. Threw in the airplane from down south. I got a grand total of 10. He rolled a 5, which flipped him. So I had to use 3 more movement points. So I'm not doing well here in Poland like I normally. A little bit bad off on the die rolls there. Then I got an 8. To his 6 minus 2, fortunately, makes it so that he's eliminated. So that's another will point off. And I take Posen. So he should be down 2, 4, 5, 6. Should be down 6. He started at 12, so I didn't do something right there. Then I move forward, and then the tank marker just moves up. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And he attacks this guy. He rolled before me this time, so he got a grand total of 5, and I had a 7, so he held. And his marker's coming back in 2 turns. So then I used up, rather than attacking that guy, I attacked Lutz. Because it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. A 9 to a 4 was a retreat rather than eliminating him. And that armored was done. So now I'm definitely not doing well. So then I activate the infantry here and attack the guy that's surrounded, throwing in an airplane to make sure I kill him. Which I did. And then I had 6 movement points left. I spent 1 and attacked again. 3 movement points left. Managed to get a flipped 10 to a 3. Just missed a DE. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I moved 1 too many spaces there. Oh no, because I take the hex and then move 1 more forward. And that was so that if I attacked the guy that was across from Warsaw, if he retreated into Warsaw, I'd have a couple attacks with him being isolated. Then I went ahead and tried to do this. Figured if I take out Krakow, if you add it up, he's lost 2, 4, 6. He's lost 3 cities. Well, let's take a quick check here. Yes, he lost 3 cities and 4 real infantry units. So he was down to 10, down by 10. So he only has 2 will points left, which you'll see is not reflected here. We forgot to take off 1 there. I know when I did the count later, we figured out that. So he rolled a 5 and I rolled a 6, modified 6, so he held. So I did my last attack using up my last airplane and then forced him to retreat. There was a short dispute here where he thought we were using the optional rule where you can lose a step rather than being eliminated and being conquered. And I pointed out that it was an optional rule and I didn't know that that was happening because if I had, these last 2 air sorties would not have been used on Krakow. I would have used them to attack the guys just northwest of Warsaw, which could have forced him to retreat into Warsaw, move up, take the hex, and then attack 2 more times into Warsaw with an isolation bonus, and probably still could have taken Warsaw that way and ended the war either way. So when you go through the conquest part of this, the fools get taken off. I put a pro marker in Romania because it's the one chance you get to put one there. Soviets got Eastern Poland and took their 2 will points. And I flew an airplane from Aachen up to the border with Denmark. That's to try and stay away from the French Air Force coming to do sorties on me. And then moved that infantry down. Had to get my counters set up. And showed how I could move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And still could get to the hex that I wanted. And that ended the September turn for mine. The French player decided, my allied opponent decided he was going to move up the airplane and attack the Kiel Canal Air Force. So he was -1, I was +1. I managed to roll. He rolled a 4. I rolled a 5, so it was 1 each. And he went again. He got a 1 and I got a 2. And then I got a He got a 4 and I got a, should have been it. And then, of course, he brought the BEF over. He put the BEF in Calais and put the home fleet and the convoy in Brest. Pretty standard. Brought the French fleet into Cherbourg for some reason. And then I think that's all we did. And then we go to Soviets. He chose not to really do anything with the Soviets, which surprised me. Normally you go ahead and move the Soviet army up into its long-term defense positions, but so we skipped on through the no supply phase. I replenished my airplanes. The West did his thing, basically brought his things all in order, and we forgot about the guy in the Mediterranean. He didn't supply it. We should have been doing that, but no harm done because they can't move, so he just agreed to leave them at low supply to start with. So we got to the diplomacy phase. I had 4 chances in 13 of getting some kind of pro marker, which we are playing with Italy being able to go to the west. So if I'd have gotten any kind of pro marker, I would have thrown it in Rome to try and head off that kind of nonsense. But I got a no event. So, and then we went to the west, and he had a 25% chance, and of course he pulled a success. So, of course, the first thing the West is going to do is put that pro marker in Rome because they want them on their side. And then the Soviets also pulled a success and went ahead and put it in Turkey. So now there's only 2 possible successes for the Germans. There's 2 area seized markers in the cup, and then 6 no events and 1, or 5 no events and 1 political failure. So I'm down to 20% chance of getting a pro, 20% chance of getting one for the Soviets, an area seized, and then 50% chance of no event, and 1 in 10 that I could pull the political failure. So, we go into the end turn phase. We move stuff where it needs to go, put in our eliminated units, come down into their boxes. Rolled the weather, got severe, so it's poor or severe everywhere, so nothing was going to much happen this turn. We went ahead and did the production. There's no strategic warfare. My strategic movement, I went and I grabbed an infantry unit since they move so slow. Or no, was that the armored unit? Yeah, I moved the 2nd Panzer over to the Western Front. Made sense. And then he moved his guy that was in Lille. He just railed him to behind the Maginot Line there, behind the Marne. And I think the Soviets, yeah, they railed somebody into Brest over in the Eastern Front. And then I moved my airplanes to where they're permanent garrisons positions because why not do it now so I don't forget about it later. Moved my infantry to where they go, and then the mass flight towards the west. I did take a southern route with the infantry units because that pro marker, I was worried about Italy suddenly joining in the war, and then I wouldn't have anything down here, and that would be very bad. And so he had the French go after the French Alpini unit here, moved up again behind the Marne because he's saying, hey, it's pro-Italy, don't have to worry about the Italians suddenly jumping across the border on him. And then he was attacking the guy at the Kiel Canal again. We're both halved at this point. So it was 1 each there. And I think he did it again. Yeah. He's a 2 and I'm a 5. So he took 2 and I took another one. And then he moved an infantry unit into Lille. And that was pretty much that. Had to do his supply. He doesn't bother to escort with the fleet because all he needs to do is his convoy. And I think it's here that, yeah, so we've got a low supply marker down here on the Western Desert Force because he's just not bothering to supply it since it looks like, you know, he doesn't have to worry about Italy for a while. So he doesn't have to spend the points to keep bringing that convoy unit down there up. So, get into the replacements phase, I believe. Yes. Oops, I just hit the back button. I'm so stupid. Okay, so did quick replacements there. And then I went and pulled diplomacy, I think. Oh, I built my garrison unit in Stuttgart. He built his Russian infantry in Lvov. Then I get down to the diplomacy cup. I go ahead and pull a marker, and I pulled an area seized. So he decided to go ahead and take Bessarabia. And he pulled a no event for the west and a no event for the east. So I was like, okay, we're getting down to very few counters left in the cup. I'll give you a quick picture of that. What we did here is we went and checked to see what was in the cup. We pulled it all out. Wanted to show them how this worked. And then we highlighted it all and put it back in the cup. So now we went to the end of turn phase. So he got his ground support back. And then I got my 6th Army. So at this point, I'm trying to remember what I did here. Oh, we rolled the weather and it was poor in the mild zone. And I seriously thought about declaring war on Denmark. But when I added it up, if I declare war on Denmark and he puts this guy here, and I fail on this attack, then I only have 2 units to try and get through here. And odds were I probably wasn't going to get through it because I don't have enough units to keep assaulting, 2 or 3 times that I need to get through to either Aalborg or Copenhagen. So I said, nah, we'll just not do that. And set the production again. And then I strategically moved an infantry unit to the rail line in the Alps because, paranoia. I think the USSR railed a unit, down here into Kishinev. Over here. I moved an infantry up into the Alps. I moved the garrison up here, thinking I might have enough to pull it off if I got a poor weather turn. And basically I ended it. And then he comes back he came after my airplane. He ended up at 6 sorties. I'm at 4. So he's very aggressive with his French air, just going ahead and banging on the German air. It's a way to do it. Gives you something to do with the French Air Force, but I'm not sure it's a good thing or not. The Germans are not short on production points at this point. And here he brought himself down to 3 sorties when he should have been at 4. So I corrected that after the fact. When we start the next game, I will point it out to him that when I was doing this video, I found out that he had taken it down 1 too many sorties. I think he was, when he took off the sortie on the UK convoy, that the fighter was also still highlighted, so it brought it down an extra one that it shouldn't have. And there were no upgrades. Built an army. Dusseldorf. Forgot to flip over my army that I paid for in the replacements phase. So here we go. There's 7 cuts, 7 chits in the cup. Right? There's 3 no events, 1 political success, 1 pro marker. That's 5. An area seized is 6, and a failure is 7. So I have a 2 in 7 chance of getting a pro, 3 in 7 of getting no event, 1 in 7 of an area seized, 1 in 7 of the political failure. And I pulled the political failure. Needless to say, my opponent was fairly happy with that idea. We took off his pro marker. He activated Italy, which I think at some point here I'm going to update this. Yeah, I forgot to update that for him, so I did that. And then he started placing Italians, and he started to put one in North Africa and then thought about it and said, I have no reason to be in North Africa. So he garrisoned the northern border, put the fleets down to the south. Not really sure. Oh, he's just sort of figuring out where to put everything. And there we have it. A whole bunch of Italians on the German southern border. So then we went to the Western Allied phase. And with a 1 and a 7, he pulled a political success. So he went over and put it in Spain. And then, for some reason, the Soviets, rather than putting the area seized back in, went ahead and pulled. I think he was trying to get my last pro marker out of the cup. And it didn't work. So, if you look at the Diplomacy Cup now, there's 4 no events out, 3 political successes out, political failure out, and area seized, which means I have 1 pro-German marker, 1 area seized, and 2 no events. So there's a 25% chance I can pull a pro marker next turn. I think I'm going to try and restock the cup rather than pull. Diplomacy pulls have not been going well for me. We updated to December 39. And then we went ahead and rolled for the next turn. We were going to call it a night, but we wanted to know what the weather was so we could plan for next time that we get together. And I rolled severe in the mild zone, which is, kind of what he wanted to see because there's no possible German attacks coming across anytime soon. And so we set the things, and that's the end of the log file. So, 3 turns in, Germany is facing an active Italy. Sort of discombobulated and scattered all over creation. I really don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to play it out because I want to see how does this work when this bad thing happens to you as the Germans. I have two possible avenues. One is sort of hold on the Italian border and go ahead and just do, a normal west first and just kind of delay down here in Italy and then go in and get, you know, bash in the Russians and again, just trying to hold on the Italian front. Problem with that is the British, are going to come flying in here. You're going to end up with, probably both British armies sitting here in northern Italy. The other alternative that I have, which I'm seriously thinking about doing, is I'm going to try and drag it out as long as possible, which means that I won't make an attack until the summer of 1940, and it'll be attack into Italy, because that doesn't trigger West invaded. He'll get his Mediterranean troops and be able to bring them back to help defend France and Italy and whatnot. The idea is to hopefully hit here with a surprise attack marker and possibly the paratrooper and just, 2 turns or so, take enough out of Italy to be able to conquer them. If I get lucky and get early fair weather, like in May, I might be able to get it done, say by June or July, and still have a couple turns to go ahead and attack into the west. What I have a feeling is going to happen, just the way things have been going, is it'll probably take me all summer to conquer northern Italy and get them out of the war. And then once that's done, any French units that want to stick around in northern Italy, I'm more than happy to oblige them and just kill them and take French willpower off. As, why not? I will end up facing an upgraded French army in 1941. But then I'm thinking in the summer of 41 is when I will do the West invaded, timing it so that by the time the Russians would even roll to come in, it's probably going to be summer of 42 and the packs will end anyway. That way, the Americans come in later. Yes, the war lasts an extra year, but it gives me a chance to secure my southern border here in northern Italy, attack, conquer France, hopefully, because they still will only have 20 will points, because the French, or the Russians won't be coming in anytime soon. And then after that, if I can pull that off and knock the French out of the war, I can get the German army back over here for the summer of 42, so that when the pact ends, hopefully on the turn that it ends, I can attack into Russia. So it's almost like as if I did it, at the same time anyway. And, just try and kill as many Russian armies as I can before they can rebuild their really good stuff. Because they'll get their really good stuff, they'll have some shock armies, but they won't get their armor and stuff until in the summer of 42. And while they're building their armor, if I can just kill a bunch of the frontline infantry, and the idea is to, I'm not planning on being able to, I don't see me being able to knock out Russia in 1 year, in 42. But if I can push them back, almost to that conquered line or whatever, through 1942, then it's almost as if, I took them out in early 41 or something, and they're coming back in 43, and they'll still have to build up their really good attack units. So hopefully I can delay them long enough to end up with being along the Carpathian Mountains in Poland by the end of 45, and then they'll have their one big offensive in 45 to push me back to the German border. The West will land in 45 because the Americans are going to take that long to get on to get built up, because they're going to start at the end of 42 instead of the end of 41. They won't have any distractions in the Mediterranean to deal with, so they'll be building up to come straight across into France as soon as they can. And then the idea is to just basically do the 44-45 defense of Germany in 45 and 46. Will it work? Probably not. The one good thing about that is I will have both my SS Panzers on the board, my paratrooper elite infantry unit on the board. So hopefully I can slow them down long enough to, pull off a win. I don't think so. I think this is pretty much a guaranteed German loss. I just want to see how well I can get. How far can I get with the Germans before I just get totally rolled over? So here's an interesting game. not one I would wish on anybody. As always, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Please leave comments. I do get to them, sometimes not as fast as you might like, but I am still working from home, so I don't have time to dedicate to my channel like I would like to. And we will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this. Until next time around, stay safe, and bye-bye.